CBS 12 News starts now with breaking news.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Terry Hornstein in this afternoon for Liz. We are following breaking news right now. There is a verdict in the Chistopher Vasata murder trial. He is accused of killing 3 people in Jupiter on Super Bowl Sunday. A verdict again has just been reached. We want to listen into the courtroom as a jury has just filed back in. All right, so you are looking at Chistopher Vasata right here. A jury has reached the verdict. He is accused of killing 3 people on Super Bowl Sunday 2 years ago in Jupiter. As soon as that verdict is announced, we will, of course, bring this back to you live. We do want to switch gears, though, right now and turn now to weather. We might not be seeing some showers and storms like yesterday, but, man, it is so hot outside. It felt like 100 degrees in Delray today. I know I felt it when I left the house this afternoon. Let's get right out to CBS 12 meteorologist Kate Wenzel.
Hi, Terry. Yeah, what a difference a day makes. We are completely quiet here on the southeast coast. Now, we do have moisture out in the Gulf of Mexico. There is a slight chance for a few stray showers tonight, but basically we are looking at very low-end rain chances for the next several days. And with that sunshine, with our winds out of the southeast, it's hot out there right now across West Palm Beach, 91 degrees. When you factor in the humidity, which is at 61% right now, the feels like temperature for West Palm 103. So that's why when you've been outside running your errands today or maybe taking the kids to school, you can feel those temperatures really oppressively hot compared to where we've been the last few days. So around the region, 90 degrees, Boca Raton 92, in Stewart 93 degrees. That's the actual air temperature right now in Fort Pierce, 93 in Vero Beach, hot by the lake, Okeechobee, a little rain-cooled air right there. And temperatures are going to stay very warm through this evening as well. So again, the model showing just a slight chance of a few stray showers, but not a big deal. By 10 o'clock, we're completely dry, and Friday, you're going to be hard pressed to see rain at your house. So it's good. We need to dry out, and you'll have chances to get outside and get all of that yard work done that has been hard to get to with all of the rain. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll talk about how long this heat will last, and of course, your weekend forecast.
All right, thank you, Kate. New at 3, more than 100 pink slips are being handed out at AT&T in our area. According to our news partners at the Sun Sentinel, 121 technicians have been notified that their jobs will be eliminated in South Florida over the coming weeks. That includes 14 in West Palm Beach, 12 in Boynton, 5 in Boca, and 2 each in Jupiter and Delray. Nationwide, the company is eliminating nearly 2,000 jobs. An AT&T spokesperson says the cuts are due to changes as business and industry continue to evolve. Looking ahead, the ousted sheriff of Broward County will have to wait until at least the fall to learn if he will get his job back. Suspended Sheriff Scott Israel spent the last 2 days defending his reputation, the training of his deputies, and their response to the Parkland and Fort Lauderdale shootings. And only on CBS 12 News in his first one-on-one, former Sheriff Israel tells CBS 12's Lily Ortiz no matter the outcome, he will run again.
You know, whether the Senate rules to reinstate me or not, I'll be running for office again in August of 2020 in the Democratic primary, and I'm hoping to prevail and then run in the general election, and I'm hoping to become the sheriff of Broward County.
Here's what happens next in the case. An appointed special Senate master will decide whether Israel should be reinstated as the sheriff. The Senate master will forward that recommendation onto a Senate committee. Then a full Senate will review the recommendation and vote on this. Again, we're expecting a final decision in the fall. In headlines trending across America, tensions continue to escalate between the United States and Iran after a U.S. drone was shot down early this morning. Right now, members of Congress, including Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and others, are talking about planned action with President Donald Trump about Iran. Now, this comes after Iran says its Revolutionary Guard shot down the drone, an RQ-4 Global Hawk, like this one you're looking at here, after it violated Iranian airspace. But military officials say the unmanned plane was in international airspace in the Strait of Hormuz. The president put Iran on notice.
Iran made a big mistake. This drone was in international waters. Clearly, we have it all documented. It's documented scientifically, not just words. And they made a very bad mistake.
The U.S. has deployed an aircraft carrier and about 1,000 additional troops to that region. Police say the alleged mastermind in the shooting of David Big Papi Ortiz is a fugitive in the U.S., and they now confirm the Boston Red Sox legend was not the intended target. According to Dominican authorities, the intended target of the shooting was a friend of Ortiz's who was with him that night. They believe the alleged mastermind ordered the attack from inside the United States, and the shooter mistook Ortiz for the man he was supposed to kill. Dominican officials believe Victor Hugo Gomez wanted revenge against his cousin for ratting him out for a drug offense 8 years ago. 11 suspects are in custody. Police are still looking for 3 others, including the mastermind. David Ortiz is in good condition, still recovering in Boston. Trending now, new research confirms what many local families feel on a monthly basis: the struggle to make rent. It's a tough one out there. It's expensive. CBS 12's James Torres is on the Treasure Coast with the results of a new study that may have you thinking about moving north.
That study comes from the National Low Income Housing Coalition, and we know it's pricey to live down here in Florida, but what you might find most surprising is that it seems to be a lot more affordable to live in a 2-bedroom home here on the Treasure Coast than to our neighbors on the south. Let's go ahead and break down the numbers for you here. If you wanted to live comfortably in a home in West Palm Beach, according to this study, you'd have to make at least about $28 an hour. That's about a salary at $57,000 a year. It's around the same for areas in Miami and in Broward County. In Port St. Lucie, that number gets lower at $21 an hour. That's around $44,000 a year in a salary. But compare those numbers to an area even farther north, like in Sebastian or in Vero Beach. The study suggests you'd only need to make about $18 an hour to live comfortably in that 2-bedroom home, translating to about $38,000 in salary. Now, the cheapest area to live in the state, you can manage for about $13 an hour, but you can only find that if you move to some counties in the North Central Florida area. Right now, reporting in Martin County, I'm James Torres, CBS 12 News.
Every day at this time, we ask you our question of the day. So today's question, researchers say kids will learn another language better and faster if they do this as well. So your first hint today, it's not play a sport. Stay with us. We'll reveal the answer at the end of the newscast. All right, so we continue to follow that breaking news. We just learned a verdict has been reached in the Jupiter triple murder trial of Chistopher Vasata. You can see him standing there, the jury just back in. Let's listen in.
Where's the back session?
All right, everybody have a seat. Jurors, I understand you reached a verdict. Is that correct? And I believe I see Mr. Schroeder with the verdict form. All right, in a second, I'd ask you to pass it to Deputy Dunkley. To everybody who's present in the courtroom, I know that this is a very difficult time for everybody. Every single person that's been in this courtroom. Some of you have been here every single minute of this trial. I know this is the most intense moment of everybody's life that's here that has an interest in this case. But I'm asking and following it up with, I'm ordering. Whatever the verdict is, I don't know what it is. It's just been handed to me in a folded fashion. Whatever the verdict is, I don't want to hear a sound from anybody. Why? These 12 people over here are just doing a job for us. That's it. So please, 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 don't put me in that spot.
Circuit Court of the 15th Judicial Circuit, Criminal Division, in and for Palm Beach County, Florida. Case number 2017 CF 002808AMB, Division X, State of Florida, versus Chistopher Vasata, defendant. Verdict. We, the jury, find as follows. As to count one, Sean Henry, we find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder with a firearm as charged in the indictment. If you find the defendant guilty of this offense, you must answer the following 3 questions. The principal's instruction does not apply to the following 3 questions. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge the firearm? Which discharge caused the death or serious bodily injury to Sean Henry? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge the firearm? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself actually possess a firearm? Yes. As to count 2, Brandy L. Sahib, we find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder with the firearm as charged in the indictment. If you find the defendant guilty of this offense, you must answer the following 3 questions. The principal instruction does not apply to the following 3 questions. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge a firearm? Which discharge caused the death or serious bodily injury to Brandy L. Sahib? No. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge a firearm? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself actually possess a firearm? Yes. As to count 3, Kelly Doherty, we find the defendant guilty of first-degree murder with a firearm as charged in the indictment. If you find the defendant guilty of this offense, you must answer the following 3 questions. The principal's instruction does not apply to the following 3 questions. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge a firearm? Which discharge caused a death or serious bodily injury to Kelly Doherty? No. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge a firearm? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself actually possess a firearm? Yes. As to count 4, we find the defendant guilty of attempted first-degree murder with a firearm as charged in the indictment. If you find the defendant guilty of this offense, you must answer the following 3 questions. The principal's instruction does not apply to the following 3 questions. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself discharge a firearm? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant himself actually possess a firearm? Yes. During the commission of this offense, did the defendant carry, display, use, threaten to use, or attempt to use some type of weapon? Yes. As to count 5, we find the defendant guilty of grand theft motor vehicle as charged in the indictment. So say we all, this 20th day of June 2019 in West Palm Beach County, Florida. Signed, jury forward.
Ms. Howard, would you like the jury polled? Now, jurors, we're going to actually go down row by row. You are considered juror 1, and then we'll go down the row and call you by numbers.
Juror number 1, with the verdicts is regular verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 2, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 3, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 4, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 5, with the verdicts is regular verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 6, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 7, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 8, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 9, with the verdicts is regular verdicts?
Yes.
Juror number 10, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 11, with the verdicts is regular verdicts? Juror number 12, with the verdicts is regular verdicts?
Thank you very much, sir. Now, jurors, so right now, based on your verdict, all that time we spent in jury selection is now in play. So we have to arrange for you to come back to consider the phase 2, the penalty phase evidence. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do, I know you've been in that jury room for a long time, but I'm going to ask you all to step into the jury room while I discuss the schedule with the attorneys. Now, I believe, and we're going to talk about it in a second, I believe we're going to do it next week. All of you were expecting to be with us through the 28th. And we're well within that, but that is my thought process. I'm going to talk to the lawyers, and then I'll bring you out. I'm going to give you some further instructions, and then I'll tell you what day we're going to reconvene and how long it's going to take approximately. Okay? So step in with Deputy Dunkley, and I'll have you out as quickly as possible.
You are watching right now the courtroom where Chistopher Vasata has just been found guilty.
All right, everybody have a seat.
Of 5
lawyers, if my memory serves me
charges,
correctly,
including 3 charges of first-degree murder. He also was found guilty of attempted first-degree murder, as well as guilty of grand theft of an automobile. This all stemming from the shooting in Jupiter back in 2017 that left Sean Henry, Brandy Al-Sahi, and Kelly Doherty. All 3 of them died in this shooting. Now, you are again hearing from the listening into the courtroom there, where Chistopher Vasata has just been found guilty of those 5 charges. The jury just coming back with this verdict. Now, the judge just said moments ago that they will need to come back. This is a death penalty case, so they will need to come back next week to decide whether or not Chistopher Vasata will face the death penalty. Now, in the courtroom, Chistopher Vasata's lawyers during this trial tried to prove that it was another man who was the shooter who killed these 3 people, but clearly, as you just saw, unable to do so because Chistopher Vasata was just found guilty of first-degree murder on 3 different counts, 5 counts in all. There is a co-defendant here as well, Marcus Stewart. He will face trial as well in this case. Now, of course, we know if you've been following this story, this all stemmed from several arguments. That's what they said in court over drugs and a robbery as well. Chistopher Vasata's lawyers trying to prove that there was a 3rd person there that night. We also heard from Charles Vorpagel. Now, Vorpagel had everyone over his house where this shooting happened that night back on Super Bowl Sunday in July of 2017, or rather Super Bowl Sunday of 2017. So again, you just heard from the jury here coming back with that verdict that Chistopher Vasata is guilty on 5 counts, including 3 counts of first-degree murder. He's also accused of attempted first-degree murder, or rather convicted now of attempted first-degree murder. So again, we do know, if we talk about a little bit about this shooting, we do know that there was a party at Charles Vorpagel's house back on Super Bowl Sunday in 2017. When Vorpagel took the stand, he talked about how he was just sitting in the backyard with his friends when the shooting started, and 3 people were killed in that shooting. Now, during the course of this trial, we heard from Vorpagel. We also heard from several different investigators who talked about text messages, talking about how they said this was a premeditated murder. Again, Chistopher Vasata's lawyers trying to prove that there were 3 people there that night. That 3rd person, his lawyers said, Luke Katsoukas, who was never charged in this case. Now, Marcus Stewart, a co-defendant, will also have to face trial for these first-degree murder charges as well. But again, Chistopher Vasata was just found guilty of 5 different charges, 3 first-degree murder charges in the death of Sean Henry, Kelly Doherty, and Brandy Al-Sahi. So the judge just said that the jury will have to come back once again next week to decide. They'll come back for the death penalty phase of this case to decide whether or not Chistopher Vasata will face the death penalty. But again, you just heard there from the jury. They came back with a verdict today. Chistopher Vasata guilty on all charges he was accused of for the shooting deaths on Super Bowl Sunday back in 2017. Of course, we're following this very closely this afternoon. This was such a big case in our area, continues to be a very big case in our area. Chistopher Vasata, one of the shooters that night, just found guilty by a jury for shooting 3 people and killing 3 people on Super Bowl Sunday back in 2017. You can see him there in the courtroom just standing up. He will be taken away in handcuffs in just a short bit. But as you heard from the judge, they will be back next week to decide whether or not Chistopher Vasata will face the death penalty. I want to kind of refresh you on this case. So again, back on Super Bowl Sunday in 2017, Charles Vorpagel had several people over his house. They were sitting around in the backyard when, they found that Chistopher Vasata and allegedly Marcus Stewart came up in the backyard and started shooting at them. Vorpagel was not was not killed in that. He was the only survivor of the people who were in the backyard. But 3 people lost their lives that night: Sean Henry, Randy Al-Sahi, and Kelly Doherty. And it was just a very chaotic night when we were listening to this trial play out, when we were listening to this case in the courtroom, and how everything unfolded. It was a very chaotic night. We want to listen back in once again to the judge as he talks to Chistopher Vasata.
But they're there for you to refer back to now in the phase 2 part of the trial, which will begin Wednesday morning. It's going to take Wednesday, Thursday, and then I believe your jury service will be fully completed. So Wednesday, 8:15, same drill. You get off tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, and you'll come back and be with us on Wednesday, Thursday. I'm going to lean on the lawyers to let's be as efficient as possible, but we think 2 days is the appropriate amount of time, and obviously it's a very weighty decision. So we're going to treat it the same way we treated this trial the entire time. Now, this is very, very important. It's become even more important now. When I release you, don't discuss the case with anybody. I got a feeling that's a difficult task sometimes when you go home now. Please, 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 do not talk about the case in any way, shape, or form with anyone. And it's very, very important. I don't think it's a mystery to you. There's been cameras in the courtroom the entire time. Do not watch anything. Do not read anything. Do not listen to anything. We're counting on you. We count on you. Please don't let me down. Does anybody have any questions about the process, the scheduling, anything? Then everybody's got their personal belongings, their cell phones off their chairs. You've got everything. You'll take care of it, Deputy Dunkley. We'll escort you out the back. I'll see you Wednesday. If there's any issue, I'll call you Wednesday, 8:15 at the doors. And thank you very much.
All right, so you heard just once again from the judge there. He said the jury will come back Wednesday at 8:15 in the morning to decide on the death penalty phase of this case. Chistopher Vasata just found guilty of first-degree murder of Kelly Doherty, Randy Al-Sahi, and Sean Henry back in 2017 on Super Bowl Sunday in Jupiter. There is another person, Marcus Stewart, who is facing these charges as well. His trial is yet to come, but of course, as you just heard, Chistopher Vasata found, of course, we will keep you updated, but you just heard that Chistopher Vasata has been found guilty on all of these charges for those deaths. The argument that night, lawyers did say during this case over drugs and a robbery. We do know some of the players here were alleged drug dealers, some of them admitted drug dealers. So again, Chistopher Vasata charged and now found guilty of killing 3 people on Super Bowl Sunday back in 2017. So, of course, there's a lot more to come on this. We still have a lot more to cover here because Chistopher Vasata will be back in court next week. They are giving right now the final instructions for Chistopher Vasata. Let's listen in one more time.
I'll make myself available Monday or Tuesday or even tomorrow if there's disagreements. But I'd like a packet so we're not copying packets on Wednesday or Thursday, if you could do that for me. Anything else we need to discuss? State? Defense. And I'll hold off on adjudicating and doing any of that. He remains held, no bond, etc. And we'll take up the rest of that when the appropriate time comes. Thank you for your cooperation.
All right, again, just one more time. You just heard from the jury. Chistopher Vasata found guilty of 5 charges, including 3 counts of first-degree murder. You saw some of the family members just break down there in court. Brandy Alsahi's sister was one of the people who took the stand during the trial. You saw her there in court as well. Much more to come on this because it was a death penalty case. We will bring you all of that as it happens. Of course, follow us on air and online. We do want to switch gears now and get you a final check of your forecast.
All right, Terry. Yeah, we are looking at beautiful conditions at Lake Worth Beach. That's a good place to beat the heat because it is hot out there right now, 91 degrees, feeling like 103 in West Palm Beach, and temperatures staying warm right through this evening. In fact, as late as just about midnight, 82 degrees West Palm Beach, 82 degrees this evening in Boynton Beach. So feels like temperatures right now triple digits for most folks, and it's going to be the same scenario as we head through Friday. By Friday afternoon, once again, heat indices in the triple digits. Lots of dry air across the Atlantic, and some of this drier air will be working into our vicinity. That means low-end rain chances for the next several days. Slight chance of an isolated stray shower tonight. Friday, we're going to be hard-pressed to find any rain. Looking pretty good for this evening, 79 degrees. Warm and humid, partly cloudy skies with nothing more than an isolated shower. Then tomorrow for your Friday to end the work week, looking pretty good. Coastal morning showers, a slight possibility, but it's actually going to be warmer than that. We're looking at a high temperature of 93 degrees. Summer begins tomorrow at 11:54, just before the noon hour. Of course, it's already felt like summer here in South Florida. Here's your 7-day forecast where the weekend is always in view. I took out the rain chances for Friday. Staying very hot Saturday and Sunday with high temperatures in the low 90s. Rain chances increasing a little bit next Tuesday, and by Wednesday, a 50% chance of showers and storms.
All right, thank you, Kate. We want to now get to the answer to our question of the day. Researchers say kids will learn another language better and faster if they do this. Let's show you the answer here today. Learn an instrument. Pretty interesting. That wasn't my guess. But if it was yours, congratulations. You can always join us at 3 for our question of the day. Thank you for joining us today at 3. Of course, we will have much more for you tonight on the verdict in the Chistopher Vasata Jupiter triple murder case. Of course, he was just found guilty. We'll see you then right here at 5.